This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to another special live episode. We're here live today reviewing and recapping the latest episode of The Walking Dead Season 8. Whether you're listening live via Shelf Addiction or Spreaker, leave us a comment. We would love to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you enjoy live episodes, go ahead and share this on Twitter right now. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcast or your listening app of choice. Joining me today is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. If you're listening to this episode after we're off the air, you can still leave a comment. You can also find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The link is below in the show notes. Hey Lisa, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Florida's nice.
Oh, I bet it is. Even we got a little bit of spring today. The high was like 50. I'm like, I don't even know how to act. It's 50 degrees outside and sunny.
It's 83. We've been in the pool most of the day. It is my anniversary, so I've been eating cheeseburgers and drinking wine. Cheap box wine because of tradition.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun plan. Yes.
Yeah, for your anniversary, man.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're having a great time down there. I guess we can jump into this, huh? Since you took the time out to watch last night.
Yes, I did. Let's do it, man.
Alrighty. So there were a couple things that I think we should hit on, but let's talk with about the most obvious thing that you and I were texting about last night.
Oh my God. Okay. How do you not hear? Yeah. At the end. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Number one, it annoyed me before the guy even fell down the stairs. Mm-hmm. The two people that were attacked, neither one of them screamed. Neither one.
They were like, ah.
Right. I mean, I'd scream bloody murder to, alarm someone. But they didn't. And then the whole falling down the stairs. I mean, when dead weight just falls down the stairs, there is no way that I wouldn't have woken up. I can't believe that.
Okay, at the bottom of the stairs, it's like not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Nobody even moved. There was no snore. No one flipped over. No one picked their head up. Ooh, what's that? No. Yeah. Oh my God. I think it was like on the third person before anybody woke up. Are you kidding me?
I know.
No way.
The zombie noises when they bit the first person. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That should have definitely, whoever is laying closest to that person should have been like, what's happening?
Oh yeah. Okay, so fine. They didn't get everyone in the hospital because they didn't cry. But I'm sorry. There in that house, when that guy fell down the stairs, that should have woken up every single person throughout that entire area, because I have heard people fall downstairs, okay? Not even big stairs like that, but just stairs. Yeah. And it makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay? And it usually comes with vibration.
Oh, yeah. And just think, that is a walker, so that guy wasn't even trying to catch himself. He was just like dead weight just falling.
Yeah. Dump, 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 dump.
Yeah.
And, so at that point, I'm just like, I am mad. I was really pissed because realistically, nobody, unless they were dead drunk or they were drugged, could anybody have slept through that? I'm sorry. At 7 years into the apocalypse, running from zombies and everything else, and you don't hear something like that, they're all fearful for their lives. They just underwent an attack and they slept through something like that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, for sure. I get it. And I mean, top that with the fact that I still have a problem with the whole bloody, gore-covered weapons. And I mean, only because I don't like... Okay, I understand what they're trying to do. But to me, the whole theory is still kind of dodgy. Just because how many times we've seen other characters coat themselves in that same gore and be just fine.
Yes. Well, and I know part of their premise is you have, as long as you don't have any open wounds, and it has to do with infection, okay? Because the virus is an infection, and if you get it, if you are already wounded and it gets in there, that it's going to increase the infection rate.
I get that, but I don't know. I just, especially since a couple seasons ago, maybe it was second or third season, they kind of disclosed that everyone was already infected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's just all you have to do is die now, like you're already infected. So I'm like, it just doesn't ring true for me. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what it is it's accelerating the virus that's already in your system. Yeah. So it's kind of in this dormant state as long as you're alive, but by introducing, into an injury, the live virus, it's kind of like the opposite of a vaccine.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just going to have to take it at face value because that's what they want you to believe. But I really hope that going forward, they won't rely on that too much. I mean, I really don't. I'm like kind of over it. Like, okay, you used it one good time. It was, I think, traumatizing, but I just don't want people to, I don't know. I just hope that they don't rely on that method of delivery again. I mean, because it just doesn't jive with me. Even though I understand what you're saying, it still just doesn't jive completely for me. So you got that, and then you got no one can hear the zombies.
And then we have the kid going in with the prisoner. Where are the guards?
Yeah.
Why are the guards off sleeping? Are you kidding me? Again, you were just attacked. Another attack could show up at any point in time.
Yeah.
And they're sleeping?
Yeah.
And this kid gets in?
Yeah.
And that whole thing? Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
That little kid, Henry, is the worst. Like, I mean, honestly, no one can control that kid. I mean, both Carol and Ezekiel were like, dude, stay here. He is insistent. I knew something was wrong the minute he stole that gun. I said, oh no, trouble.
Oh yeah, and the obsession of who killed my brother? Who killed my brother? All right, fine, I get it. Everyone else has their revenge kicks on this, and I get it. But he got the main guy in essence, and it's not going to go away. It's not. I mean, your revenge. It doesn't matter how many times you go after, further down the chain of command. It's.
But I mean, he's a kid, and I don't think he can grasp that so easily. Because heck, Tara just now grasped it after all this time. She's just now getting it. So. Yeah,
and I don't. You don't think that they're gonna. Since she hasn't exhibited any symptoms, I hope that they at least wait and they go, okay, let's wait to see if you turn before they just go, we're going to off you. Just as a precaution.
I don't think she's sick, and I don't think that they're going to, jump the gun either, because, she had expressed that she thought Dwight was helping her, so I feel like she's 100% safe. I mean, at least for now anyway, for the time being.
Yeah, because I don't think he, unlike everyone else, I don't think he dipped any of his weapons in gore. So, and I think that's why he shot her over Simon's head, because he knew that Simon's weapon was. Yeah. So, and he didn't, and he was close enough. He definitely could have gotten a fatal shot out of her, instead he barely grazed her arm.
Yeah, that was definitely by design, for sure. I mean, there's no question there. I just can't, especially after all of their interactions, and he kind of accepted the fact that, she wasn't going to forgive him. But, I just feel like he had no malice toward her. Not really, even though she wants to kill him. But, he doesn't care about that stuff anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, and she brought up a good point to Daryl. And he didn't want to hear it. And that was, there was a time when I was with the governor. And you guys fought against the governor. And you still let me become part of the group. Well, yeah, that's because you're different. No, it wasn't. She fought against, them when they were in the prison and everything else. And she realized that she picked the wrong side.
Yeah.
And she was trying to tell that to Daryl, and Daryl's still like, I don't care.
Yeah. But he even brought up something we talked about last week. Had he aligned with Earl, he could have been also doing the same fiasco. So, I mean, yeah. Finally, Tara has seen the lights, and now she got to get Daryl on the same page because he's not hearing it.
Well, and again, this is not the same Daryl of seasons past. This is after, being tortured and left in a the feral Daryl is still kind of there. And it's going to take, I think, the rest of the season for us to get our old Daryl back. And I see that he's starting to come back with the apology to Rick and a lot of the other things going on. But I think it's going to take, I have a feeling that something will happen between now and the end of the season that's going to snap him back to more of the old Daryl. We'll never get the old Daryl back completely, obviously, but not this feral, suspicious, closed in person that he's become this season.
Yeah, it seems like he took that whole prisoner thing way harder than anyone else. I mean, I don't know. There were other people that were held prisoner and treated the same way, given dog food, all this other crap. I mean, even, I don't know. He was fragile He was fragile already, I guess. And that just kind of broke him, I guess.
Well, and he was in there a lot longer.
He was. So let's switch gears right quick and stay on this episode. What did you think about Morgan seeing Gavin? And he kept saying to him, "You know what it is." What did you think that was about?
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if maybe this is him slipping back into his previous psychosis that we saw him in was it season 2 or something, right after he lost his son, when he built all the traps and was just nutsoid. I'm wondering if it might be referring back to that, because I don't know. I've been kind of pondering that, and I'm coming up a little blank on it. What do you think?
I don't know. I kept thinking, what is? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what is he talking about? Even, obviously he's a figment of his imagination. So I couldn't even think of what Morgan could have thought he meant. I really couldn't figure it out. I'm like, yeah, maybe he's just slipping into that headspace where he's going to, I need to walk off and figure out my life type of thing. He's just preparing us for that, maybe.
Well, and like I said, I'm kind of the opinion it is that you're going crazy. You know what this is. This is you having a mental breakdown. And I think he's even telling himself, you know that you're losing it, and here I am as living proof.
I don't know. I don't know why he would be losing it at this point. I mean, he's been through so much. I mean, what's one more death? I mean, I kind of feel like I don't get it. And this wasn't a good guy. It's not like he killed someone good by accident.
No, but I do know that. Okay, so when Morgan arrived, this time around, he was the pacifist. And he tried to save one of the wolves, and he has not done anything more than injure somebody for most of the time that he has been here. It has only been in this season where he's gone, all right, yeah, I'm going to start killing people again, and he wasn't happy about it. And it's kind of weird because him and Carol keep changing places, where he's the pacifist and she's the aggressor, and then she's the pacifist and he's the aggressor, and they keep doing this little back and forth thing. Come on, people, pick a stance. But I think he knows that he has gone so far astray from that Zen center that he arrived in, that he was never all that stable to begin with, or he would not have gone. Sane people don't take extreme stances. And Morgan always goes towards the extreme pacifism or extreme violence. He never finds that nice middle road. No,
and I mean, just thinking back to when we first were introduced to him, I thought he was kind of loopy then. I mean, he's always kind of had a couple screws loose. So maybe. I don't know. That was just the worst timing. I mean, you're trying to fight. People are invading, trying to kill you, and you're seeing this dead guy. That is the worst timing.
Well, it's not like mental illness asks if this is a good time or not. So
I know. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, at least he was able to shake it off, and he didn't get himself killed or sliced with an infected weapon or something during that time. He managed to make it through. But during that whole kind of fight, I really thought that the people really had a great plan, like turning out the lights and turning on the lights and like shooting at them. But I couldn't understand this. They had all these guns shooting up the saviors. And I'm like, they just keep coming. Why are there so many saviors? Is their aim that bad, or were there really that many? Because it didn't seem like there were that many to me. And
well,
then,
they did have the truck.
Yeah.
They did have a couple of trucks. And I'm thinking that those the inside of those trucks had people in them. And that's why, because otherwise, why bring a vehicle that big? You know, they could have just gone convoying cars. And I think that's why they were using them to transport people. And that's where a lot of them were coming from. And the plan actually, you know, considering many of the plans that we have seen this season, was really good. I think it could have been better.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. It wasn't a terrible plan. And it did save their gate, and it did, you know, draw them in. And in theory, if it hadn't been for the infected weapons, their casualties should have been light.
Yeah, it would have been a lot less than, I mean, they did have a lot of dead. But overall, they survived another day. And although I'm kind of concerned now, because Maggie called it, she's like, I don't know if we can take another hit like this. Like, we're low on all kind of things. So I'm curious to see what the next plan of action is going to be. Like, what's going to happen next.
Well, and there's even a, you know, because there's still the wild card out there. There's Negan. You know, he is with Jadis. What is Jadis planning on doing? Is there a revenge thing? Is she going after Simon? Is, you know, because I know that Negan is mad when he found out what Simon had done.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that Negan is going to become the good guy in this scenario, but I'm kind of wondering if, now that he knows and he is with her, if he's not willing to perhaps align himself with her long enough to at least take down Simon.
Yeah, he's not stupid. He's going to try to finagle his way out of that by talking her into a deal or a trade or something, because he's going to use whatever skills and things he has to try to get out of that. I know he will. So, yes, he has to live through the finale at least. And now, like, to me, I'm feeling kind of sad, because while I want them to kill him so bad, I'm starting to sway. I'm starting to feel like they may not actually do it. So it's making me sad.
I don't know. Like in the comic books, he does survive. Of course, that doesn't mean anything, because Carl was supposed to survive and he is dead. So you know, they're on their own, and you can't really use them as too much of a guide anymore.
No.
And there is a point, you know, in the comic book universe where he is taken hostage by a woman. It's not Jadis, it's somebody else. And in it, he actually becomes reluctantly the hero, and for an episode or two, and then I believe he finally dies. So I don't know if maybe they're trying to take that little scenario there and throw it in right now with Jadis, or what, but, you know, it's something to keep in mind that he does briefly become a hero in the comic book, so they might use it, they might not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I feel like the comics are no longer that compass to follow along, because they've deviated so far. But I'm not sure if doing that would deliver fan service, or even if they care to deliver any fan service. I feel like some people are just so over this, including myself. I just want him dead. I want the victory to go to Maggie and Rick. I want him dead, and then let's move on to the next big bad. That's what I want. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but that's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would be horribly upset if, you know, Simon's group now is attacking the hillside, and, you know, Negan comes from the rear and, you know, briefly makes his stand and sways them and breaks up the whole ensemble, and Simon ends up dead, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, Dwight gets the group and leads them away. We're off to greener pastures, and then Negan lays dying. I would be okay with something like that.
I feel like Simon's gonna die in episode 15. I feel like, because, you know, usually how it's been is someone dies in the episode before the finale. So if they follow that, like they've kind of been doing, Simon's gone. He's going to get next week because that's episode 14. But I feel like 15 is the magic number. That's when his gig is up. It's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and I didn't see any. I didn't get the. I didn't watch any of the upcoming previews. Some sneak peeks for next week because there was some kind of a special presentation for a show I had absolutely no interest in.
Oh.
And but I'm kind of thinking that next week, I think my guess is we're going to see a bit more of Negan next week. Unless they keep him an absolute secret up until like that last episode, which I don't know. But I kind of feel like we're gonna see a little bit more of where he's at and what's going on with him and Jadis.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how much of it though, because like this episode, we were at one place because everyone that we cared about was in one place. Mm-hmm. And I like that because it kind of, like I said to you a little bit earlier, it reminded me of like the old The Walking Dead. But I think going back, we're going to be back in that 2 or 3 different scenario situation that we're watching. Yeah, there's no way we're going to spend a whole episode with Negan. That would be so ridiculous.
Oh, no. I don't mean we're going to spend a whole episode. I meant we're going to have a couple flashes over toward him and say, him tied up somewhere and begging Jadis, you don't understand. It wasn't me. It was Simon. Yeah. Simon said to do this, not me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then I think, because you only need like a 5-minute cutaway to that at any point in time next week to set that up for some upcoming episodes.
Yeah. I agree with you. So, one thing that I did really like about this episode, and it was very short and sweet, almost a side note, but I really like Siddiq. Like, the more I see him, the more I like him. Like, I love the way he just told off the doctor from the kingdom, or, nurse or whatever she is.
Yeah. Nurse Ratchet. I don't know what their actual name, but we'll go with Nurse Ratchet for now.
Yeah.
And I love that, from the day I walked into medical school until today, I have been doing things I have never done before. Yeah. We all have been doing things we've never done before. And I'm like, that is a reasonable point. That is a rational point. Mm-hmm. So, and I like the way, because he's been very quiet, very mouthy. But when Carl stood up for him and said, no, you are important, and took him in and everything else, it's kind of like he knows he owes Carl his life and he can't pay Carl back, so he's going to pay it forward. Yeah.
I mean, and he's doing that. And not only, knowing that he can step in with the medicine, he's kind of trying to help Rick out a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. So he's one Rick to watch. I like him. I hope they don't get rid of him too soon.
I know. And you can tell Rick has very ambivalent feelings towards him. Very ambivalent.
Well, I think that will change over time. It's just that, my son died because he was trying to help you. So he doesn't hate him, but he doesn't necessarily care to get to know him either. At least not right now. Oh, so I feel like maybe later, if he's around in season 9, that may change.
Mm-hmm. And you can I'm holding on to that whole conversation between him and Daryl, which is when Daryl says, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "Well, I will be." Mm-hmm. And because right now you can tell he's not. He's got this open gash on his face, and he won't let anybody, not anybody, look at it, and he's kind of stomping around, and he's not really thinking as much as he is reacting at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping he pulls it enough together before things get really sideways.
Yeah. What do you think about that cut that he has? Because I didn't see where he got the cut, but obviously everyone wants us to know that he has this cut that occurred after that fight. First Michonne is like, "Hey, let me clean that cut for you," and then Siddiq brings up that cut. "Oh, you don't want to get infected." So I'm like, I wonder, what is it about this cut? Could he be infected? Not that I think that Rick will die, but it makes me wonder if he's gonna survive an infection somehow. People are saying still he's supposed to not have his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got an infection in his hand. in the comic books and they chopped it off.
Yeah, so maybe they're gonna follow through with that. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can't really chop someone's head off and have them go on.
Yeah.
Just as a point. So yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a distraction, and it ends up being nothing. Yeah,
because there was that whole big scene. Was it last season? Maybe the season before that, when he had the big gash on his hand on the show, and everyone, comic book knowers, oh God, here it is. He's gonna be losing his hand, and they kept bringing that hash out, and there was all that imagery, and then they went, nah, never mind, big team.
Yeah.
So, they might be doing the same thing here. Big team.
Yeah, they totally could.
And I would hope, and this I do hope, I hope they don't kill off Carl and then kill off Rick this season.
No, I feel like Rick is securely in there. I just don't feel like they're going to kill him off anytime soon, especially with, the whole Maggie character being in flux. Because I can see them, if she doesn't return to the show, because she still hasn't signed a contract as of today.
Right.
If she doesn't return, I can totally see them trying to find a way to explain that she was killed off or get her to do one last scene where she dies instead of writing someone else in it. I can see them just killing her.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's even possible that they could do that she leaves and goes with the woman who's traveling around, giving her a live status without ever having her on the show again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they could do something like that.
Yeah, because I heard, on a side note about, I think her name is Lauren Cochran, is that her name? I had heard, this is a pilot season right now. Apparently, this is when all the pilots are being shot for the fall. And I read in one article, I don't remember which one, I should try to find it, but, she has several pilots she is recording. Or has access to several pilots that she could be recording. We know she recorded one, but people are saying she has more than one on the table where she could be the lead. So why would you stay as a secondary or third or even fourth in line of importance character when you could have your own show? So I am not, unless they pay her, she's not coming back.
Yeah. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And again, according to comic book canon, she is supposed to live and have the child that her and Glenn, created together and, build a new future. So I don't know. I know that they were going to get away from the comics, and I get that, but I am a little irritated that they're really going off the rails. So I don't know.
Well, when people deviate from the source material, sometimes it's not as good. And I feel like we've seen that with Game of Thrones. When the source material ran out, the show changed.
And I think The Walking Dead's done the same thing. You can see where this has changed, where they have gone, we're mostly following the comic book too. It's a free-for-all. We can do anything we want.
Yeah, it's like they're picking and choosing what they want to keep from the comic book and forgetting the rest. The rest is what's convenient. They're picking the main highlights and then just doing what they want. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I like this episode overall. I'm trying to think, was there anything else specific we needed to talk about that happened?
Well, briefly about the prisoners, because the blonde guy we were talking about, he was going to find a way to convince them that he was on their side. So the stupid little kid letting them all out, and they most of them ran rampant and bye. But it did give them a chance to allow some of those prisoners to stay there in a way that was believable,
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of which, Gregory is gone.
Oh, yeah.
He's hightailing it. You think he's going back to the Saviors?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, since he did hear Simon, and he seems to have this fetish with Simon, thinking that Simon actually likes him, he may attempt to go to Simon, just because he thinks, in his brain somewhere, he thinks Simon likes him and will somehow restore him to power, once he finishes off Hilltop. So, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Simon could totally kill him. You know, Simon's kind of trigger happy right now, so.
Yeah. But he might look at Gregory and see him as a source of information, briefly anyway, but I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Gregory gets eaten along the way.
That would be awesome. And then the kid, Henry, he's gone as well. I'm like, is he hiding? Where is that little kid at? Do you think Gregory snatched him?
I don't think Gregory has the strength to snatch that kid. And I do know when the pen emptied, the kid was in there alone with the zombies.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering at this point if he was bit and he's just wandering as a zombie.
Oh no, that would be dreadful. That would probably break Carol so bad. That would probably remind her of Sophia if that happened.
And I'm kind of, because they've been trying to draw some parallels between Henry and Sophia a little bit, and I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of where it's going, and even with Morgan and his son, because Morgan has seen Henry as this son replacement to a certain extent, and his son was killed and stuff. So I'm wondering if they're setting this kid up, that he's now wandering, and when they finally get to the outside gates, they're trying to get all the zombies out the front door, if they're going to find Henry among them.
I really hope that doesn't happen, though. I hope he's just hiding somewhere because he knows he's going to get in big trouble for letting, them escape.
Yeah, because, like I said, I don't believe Henry would, or I don't believe that, what's his name, would snatch him up and try to take him to Simon, because this kid is basically...
He's strong. He wouldn't let him do that. Yeah. You're right. I mean, it was just a theory, because I'm like, I don't know what happened to him. He just walked off, I guess.
But he is a worthless hostage. He's a child. He doesn't know anything good. He's obviously volatile. He doesn't know anything. So there's no payoff to the risk of trying to take a screaming child. Because I'm pretty sure if one of the saviors tried to pick him up and haul him off, that he would have gone kicking and screaming and fighting.
Oh, they would have had to knock him out. They wouldn't have been able to take him like that. They would have had to just punch him out or something. But, I mean, just because, like you said, he is a kid. So what do most kids do when they think they're going to get in big trouble? They run and hide. Maybe he's hiding.
And they did stop looking for him, that in that basement area. So for all we know, that, the last place they should have looked.
Yeah.
He's down there. But I don't know. There's this part of me that thinks that he was bitten. Yeah. Because he was there. He was knocked out, or not knocked out, but, kind of woozy and just kind of laying there, and you see all the zombies, all the walkers just kind of along. So it is possible that if he has not been turned into a zombie yet, he has been bitten. So, and he's hiding because he's scared.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost like, I almost hate to even have any guesses anymore, because I feel like 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
So
part of it is really just I think part of it that's kind of upset me a little bit about Walking Dead is the logical progression of things. There's a certain logical progression of people, the way they behave and the way groups behave and responses to that behavior. And they haven't really been following it a lot this season. People have been acting out of character. They've been going off and doing their own thing when before they would have been rock steady and reliable.
Yeah.
Henry, prior to this season, was a pretty sweet kid. And, he was on his way to becoming, a Carl Jr., as far as being steady and being able to retain his humanity, and yet he has completely gone off character this season. So it's kind of been, I've enjoyed a lot of the episodes, but I have not enjoyed the inconsistency of character. And Oceanside's response is not a rational, reasonable response.
They're just being bullheaded for the sake of being bullheaded, like. Right. Yeah.
And Rick's insistence on keep going back to the trash can people.
Yeah.
And even trusting them to begin with. And even knowing that, they could have even salvaged the day if they had just, bucked up when she first betrayed them. But instead they all went, ah!
Mm-hmm.
So, again, there's been this inconsistency of character that is really kind of bothering me, and I think it's starting to bother fans because, the ratings are going down because it's kind of nice to be able to predict something. And I think part of the reason we can't predict anything anymore is because nothing is consistent.
Yeah.
We never know from episode to episode who's going, how anyone's going to act.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like the one guy that came back from season 1 with the baby Gracie.
Yeah.
That whole scene was just, it was out of character for both characters.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, and I understand they're trying to create drama and keep people guessing, and that's fine, except there has to be a certain consistency that they are not adhering to, that the comic books have. And now that they veered from the comic books, they're just kind of doing their own random thing, and I think that's what's starting to get to fans.
Yeah, and I think with the new showrunner, maybe I'm seeing her in these last couple of episodes, because I feel like these last 3 episodes have been better episodes than they've been in a really long time. So maybe
this one, the pratfall episode. No.
Yeah, so maybe the more she has her hands in the pot, and the more, maybe season 9 we'll see some of these characters kind of return to what we expect. Maybe she'll, try to bring back the old feel. Who knows? Maybe she has different plans, but it just seems like they're getting better, even though they've got flaws still. The episodes, all of them still have flaws, but I've enjoyed these last 3 episodes immensely compared to when we returned from mid-season finale or even before that. Really, it was kind of like, meh, but now I'm like into it again.
I guess because the other episodes have been very good, very consistent, compared to, the first half of the season.
Yeah.
The fact that nobody woke up as somebody thumped down the stairs. That, I don't know why, but God, it just sticks in my craw and it bugs me and it makes me mad. Come on, man, nobody is that stupid. Nobody is that dumb. Nobody sleeps that heavy in a zombie apocalypse.
I agree with you. They want you to suspend disbelief, but there's only so much you can suspend.
Right. Unless if we had seen them giving every one of these people a sleeping pill to help them sleep through the night soundly, okay, fine.
And that would have been the stupidest thing ever anyway.
Oh, yeah, it would have, but at least there would have been that consistency. The guy fell down the stairs. Why did no one immediately wake up? Why? Because they're all drugged.
Yeah.
Or if, or if the saviors had poisoned or drugged the water or something. Something to give us a clue as to why they would do this. But just to have people sleep through something that is this noisy, and it is incredibly noisy. Not to mention him hitting the ground there at the very bottom. Those are wooden floors. There would have been a vibration, a heavy vibration, and they were all sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So that's too much, because that is basic. Nobody would have slept through that. None of them should have. They all should have been like jumping up, going, what happened?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we agree there. So I know that really grated your nerves. Yeah.
So anyway, and the kid too, because knowing how crazy he was, they should have been keeping a closer eye on him. They should have had him in the room with the rest of the kids.
Totally. Like, why would you let a kid that you don't trust not to follow your instructions, who has a trigger finger out for the guy that killed his brother, why would you leave him unsupervised, wandering around? Like, why would you do that? That just does not make sense. Like, he should have been attached to Ezekiel by the hip. Like, don't go anywhere.
Well, Ezekiel was doing the fighting, but they did have that, area set up for, that Gracie was in there, and, now I can't even remember Rick's baby's name for some reason.
Judith?
Anyway, yeah, Judith, and other little kids that they had brought over from the kingdom and stuff. they had this room with kids in it.
I know, but who was watching them?
That was Michonne was in there. And,
so Michonne let him just walk around? She's supposed to be watching the kids?
Yeah, but I don't think they put him in there.
Oh, see, that's dumb.
Michonne was in there, and then, what's her name? Not Ellie, but the girl that was Carl's age.
Oh, Enid?
Yeah, Enid was in there too. So they
should have threw his butt in there with the rest of the kids.
Mm-hmm. And instead, all Carol and Morgan did was say, "Stay here, don't go outside." Seriously, I would have taken him by the upper arm and marched him up the stairs, thrown him in the room, and said to Michonne, "Keep him here."
Yeah.
And walked away. And that's what they should have done. But they didn't. They let the kid just pretty much roll.
Yeah.
It was dumb. It was dumb.
That is dumb. Yeah, there were some dumb parts of last night's episode, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I concur with that, absolutely. Oh, goodness. Well, we shall see what happens next week.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that we'll be more satisfied next week, and there won't be as many kind of blaring things that are wrong next week.
Please.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think we're done dissecting episode 13?
I do believe so.
All right, awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us today, and we will catch you guys on next Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's The Walking Dead special live episode and you would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow both myself and Lisa on Twitter. Please follow the Shelf Edition podcast on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live and get broadcast notifications so that you never miss a live episode. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy The Walking Dead. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy viewing.